Hi everyone, my dear teachers, principals and educators and parents. We are discussing assertive discipline. In the previous episodes, I have given an overview of what an assertive discipline is. In my personal workshop, I give a lot of exercises which will help you to implement this. Right? Let's proceed further. Let it be very clear. Teachers come to the classroom with the purpose of teaching. Students come to the class with the purpose of learning. The parents send their children with the purpose of learning. And so there is a common purpose. Learning is the outcome. In the teaching learning process, an important thing is taking place which is called communication. Now let us say the teacher comes and she sits. The students come, they sit passively. And the parents do not communicate at all in the house. Passively, they throw up their hands and say, sorry, I cannot do anything. What is the purpose? So this is where the two concepts of assertiveness and discipline are combined in this module. Okay, let's proceed further, right? Remember last time I explained this, discipline is the refining fire by which talent becomes an ability. Just to recall what I said in the very first episode, which means we are into this model. There is a talent. Every child is gifted with the talent. And every child should be given a platform to showcase the talent, for which acquisition of knowledge and skill is a must. And that is going to take place, focus is required. Even in a camera, if it is out of focus, you don't see anything. So the behavior, any dysfunctional behavior, you are not going to allow in the classroom, as simple as that. Once it is understood, I want to take you to the couple of final few slides to conclude this series on assertive discipline. You may recall this, where I talked about talent. Every child has a talent, and those talents have to be given a platform. For that platform, you need relevant skill and knowledge. Let's apply your common sense. So in a classroom, the teacher is passing on the talent, the teacher is passing on the skill. And if the focus is not there, you will have all sorts of unnecessary, out of context, dysfunctional behavior and actions. Once you understand this, I want to take you to the final few slides to conclude this serial on assertive discipline. So in the last episode, we were discussing about what is a positive reinforcement and what is a negative reinforcement. Everybody understands positive reinforcement very clearly. Positive reinforcement, you do this, I will give this as a reward. So there is a linking, there is a pairing, right? If I do my homework, the teacher will give me a chocolate, positive reinforcement. But the problem or the confusion is in the negative reinforcement. Sometimes negative reinforcement is misunderstood or confused with punishment. Punishment is different. Let us say that you are driving to your school or office, traffic jam. You don't like the traffic jam. Why? You started at the peak time, 7:30 or 8 o'clock. So, why did you get into a traffic jam? Because you started the house at the peak time. Now, do you like this getting held up in the traffic? No. It gives you a pain. So, I tell you, can you leave before the peak hours? Or can you leave after the peak hours? Yes. Then this portion of a behavior, leaving your house at the peak time, you remove. and tomorrow you start before the peak hours or after the peak hours, you don't get into the traffic jam and you feel happy. So what will you do tomorrow? You will leave before peak hours or after peak hours. This is negative reinforcement. So what is being replaced is that behavior which gave you the negative stimuli of getting caught in a traffic jam. So my dear teachers, please understand there is a huge difference between punishment and negative reinforcement. In the classroom we will discuss many examples of how you can use the principle of the negative reinforcement. I'll give another example of negative reinforcement. Deciding to take antacid before you indulge in a spicy meal is an example of negative reinforcement. You engage in an action in order to avoid a negative result. Let's say that you know your constitution. You want to take that spicy food, but you know last time when you took it, you had a burning sensation. So this time what you do, you take this antacid before you take the spicy food, and you don't have the burning sensation. So you will always take that antacid in order to avoid this negative stimuli. This is the negative reinforcement. Okay. One of the best ways to remember negative reinforcement is think as something being subtracted. Right? In the situation, when you look at it at this way, it may be very easy to identify. Example, what are you subtracting? That behavior which gave you an unpleasant feeling, that you take it out. That behavior of your scribbling something on the answer sheet which got 2 marks less, that you avoid. Next time you get that full mark. This is the concept of negative reinforcement. Negative versus positive reinforcement. So you have a choice. You're not going to use punishment. You're going to use positive reinforcement or negative reinforcement. So positive reinforcement is a type of reinforcement that involves giving someone the desired reward in response to a behavior. My dear children, all of you report are on time today. I'll give you 10 minutes of storytelling. All of you like stories, isn't it? Okay. My dear children, all of you did your homework punctually and turned it on time. We will have extra half an hour of games period today. So you behaved well, I'll give you something, right? Alright. Now, this might involve offering a praise, money or other incentive. Praise is an excellent positive reinforcement. Look at the face and praise. Everybody, whether he is a king or an ordinary person, he will be moved by real, sincere, honest praise. Teachers, please understand one thing. You are not filling up the brain with content. It's not like in a chemistry lab, you take a jar and put add some acid or anything. It doesn't take place that way. You are transferring knowledge, an invisible knowledge, to a place which is again invisible, mind. So you have to keep the emotional aspect in mind. That's why assertive discipline and positive and negative reinforcement go hand in hand. Right. The most important distinction you should know is negative reinforcement versus punishment. People are confused about punishment and negative reinforcement. Negative reinforcement involves the removal of something. My removing scribbling something on the note or on the answer sheet. The undesirable behavior of scribbling something on the answer sheet which reduced 4 marks, I did not get centum. And I don't feel happy not getting centum. My friends got centum. Why did you do that? I scribbled something. Next time you don't do that. Next time you don't do that, you get centum. So something being removed. my taking spicy food just like that and then suffering burning sensation in the stomach. What is it I should do? Take antacid, and that is being added, and because of that I avoid burning sensation, negative reinforcement. Right. Punishment involves either presenting or taking away a stimulus to weaken a behavior. So please understand, involves either presenting or taking away a stimulus. That is, I want to punish you by giving you certain things which are unpleasant to you. That is punishment. Whereas in a negative reinforcement, you remove that behavior or you add a behavior which will avoid the negative stimulus. Please understand. Maybe in a classroom, we will work out more examples which are relevant to you in your classroom. Okay. If an unwanted outcome is being added or applied as a consequence of a behavior, then it is an example of a punishment. I make you to stand outside, or I deny you certain things. Punishment. If something is being removed, not added, to avoid or relieve an unwanted outcome, then it is an example of a negative reinforcement. Maybe in a real workshop, we will work out very clear examples so that you are able to use it. Finally, I want to introduce you to a very interesting concept called the hot stove syndrome or a hot stove principle, developed by Douglas McGregor. Now, let's say that you have a hot stove. Will you go touch it? No. Why? It burns. How do you know it burns? It gives you warning, red hot. Your knowledge tells you last time you touched it, you got burnt. Using this simple analogy, Douglas McGregor says, using this analogy, you should remember these 4 words: immediate, warning, consistent, impersonal. So in the classroom, as part of assertive discipline implementation, you write down, these are the 5 things I want to do, these are the 5 things I don't want you to do. Very clear. You give it to the children, you discuss with them, they agree, and you write it and you send it to the parent, they sign it, send it to me. You write it in a piece of paper through the children, you send it to the parents, they sign it and send it to you. So there is a contract between you, the student and the parent. Now the hot stove. When you touch the hot stove, immediately it burns. Similarly, when we have agreed to a code of conduct in the classroom, if there is a punishment agreed upon, give this punishment immediately. Similarly, if for a good conduct you have written down 5 points, some child has done it, immediately give the reward. So immediate. So the hot stove, immediately it burns you. Second one, with the warning. Now, assertive discipline cannot be implemented just like that. It takes a week's time. And then all of us agree and say, today we are on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. 4 days, we'll think about it. From Monday onwards, all these things will come. I warn you, my dear children, for your own benefit, let us follow these things. So, like a hot stove wants you, you also want them. Third one is consistent. Every time you take the hot stove, every time it will burn you. It's not that on Monday I will burn you, Tuesday no, Sunday I take rest, no, every time. So a teacher should be consistent. So don't make it as a flavor of the month. This time somebody came and taught you the assertive discipline, so we are doing it. Next time nobody is following up, no. the children will lose confidence. You lose your credibility. Right? You are riding on the road without a helmet. The police constable stops you, fines you. Tomorrow you do it, again fines you. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, always consistent. Then you dare not go without the helmet. Right? Consistent and impersonal. That is very, very important. Now the stove is my own. I clean it every day. I paid for it. I am the owner. My dear stove, can you burn me? The stove will say nothing doing. Similarly, impersonal. If a student who scores very well and misbehaves, pardon. A student which you don't like, whom you don't like, misbehaves, punishment. No. Impersonal. So in assertive discipline, there are no likes and dislikes. So I hope you have understood what this is. An assertive teacher swears, I will not tolerate any student stopping me from teaching. I have a right to teach. I will not tolerate any student preventing another student from learning. You make it very, very clear. We have come here for a purpose, so let us do the purpose. I will not tolerate any student engaging in any behavior that is not in the student's best interest and the best interest of others. You have no right to sabotage the purpose of a classroom. Most importantly, whenever a student chooses to behave appropriately, I will immediately recognize and reinforce that behavior, positive reinforcement. Finally, assertive teachers are the boss. In their classroom, they have the skills and the confidence necessary to take charge of their classroom. I am in control. It's something like police officer, right? Disturbed area. He comes with a gun. I am in charge. Shh, come on, all of us settle down. And the crowd will settle down. The police officer will not be telephoning to his superior officer. Sir, what do I do, sir? You have been given power. Please do what is required. Exactly. It does not mean that you become an autocrat. That's why in the very first slide it's a democratic way of functioning. Teachers, parents and educators and principals believe it that if you implement assertive discipline for a consistent period of 3 months and follow it up, your classroom will be a lovely place. You will enjoy, students will enjoy, the parents will enjoy, and parents, the same principle applies to you also. If the teachers are the captains in the classroom, the mother or father are the captains of the house. Ultimately, what we want the student to prosper, for which education is a must. I hope I have conveyed the basic principles of assertive discipline. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe. I'll come with more and more interesting videos. And if you have got any comments, please post it in the comment box. We will try to answer. All the best.
ABS Vidya Mandir, Tiruvallur.
ABS Vidya